So as you can see, this bed is set up. We installed the panels on both sides. Everything looks great, fits great. We only made some small revisions since the last round of prototypes. Hey guys, Matt here with BuiltRight. Today I'm standing at the back of a 24 3500 HD. This is an 8-foot bed, regular cab truck. We are using this one for prototyping, development, and testing of our brand new bedside rack system for this truck. Today I'm wearing my engineering hat versus my marketing hat. I'm going to install a pre-production set of panels on the passenger side, I think, here. And then we'll go over to the driver's side. We might switch those two. Then we'll go to the driver's side and do an installation guide. So one is kind of validation and everything, the other is an installation guide, and then our marketing team will take photo and video for our website when these hit it next week. So by the time you're watching this, probably already released. So I'm gonna give the bed a quick wipe down and then get these installed. Just kind of tightening everything up. Everything is fitting the way I would expect it to. From a design perspective, I don't think there's anything I would change. No, feels good. All right, so installed again this first side as sort of a pre-production final test fit deal. Essentially everything fit exactly as I expected. One thing that I overlooked was where this bracket lined up to the panel. I'd actually noticed this in the model and forgot to change it before I cut this. But I've got to play with the slots a little bit here so that we get in alignment with this fourth bolt hole. We'll change that. The other thing to note is this support bracket here. I left that back face pretty large with 4 slots there in case I wanted to kind of fit a bumper in there for extra support. But because the heavy lifting, so to speak, of this panel is coming from the tie downs, which are obviously super stout, this bracket is really just to keep the panel from flexing like this. It's the panel system without that bracket is still plenty strong. We just need to keep it in place. So it's absolutely a non-issue. So I'm gonna simplify that support bracket just a little bit. It'll cut costs. We won't sacrifice any usefulness, and it'll make that bracket a little bit less visually dominant in the middle of the panel, I guess. So aside from those two things, very happy with how all this went together. We've got adjustment built into it, so the 2 panels line up on slots here, so you can basically make the panel shorter or longer. The reason that's important is you have adjustability at the front and back as well. So we're basically bolting through these 2 top tie downs. We opted to use the top 2 and leave the bottom one, which we believe is the most useful tie down, open for use. But we're bolting through this tie down, and so everything can shift front to back, left to right, and then we've got a slot here. The reason for that is the relationship between these tie downs and your bed rail cap here is actually different front to back. So we want these brackets to be able to do double duty. So we built a bunch of adjustability in here. So whether you want the bracket to be set as far back as possible or out towards the lip, or you want to get it perfectly in line, you basically you have that adjustability here. All right, so the last thing to note here is you'll notice I'm using wing nuts here. I often do that for prototypes and test fits, things like that, because it's just faster and easier. But the production kit, this bottom bracket here, will actually have a piece of installed hardware in it. Most likely, we may go with the nylon locking nut here. I'm gonna take special note on the install guide of how that goes. I like the flexibility of having a nut on the bottom because it can slide, but I always love a pressed in nut. Okay, so this rear bracket here is designed so that there's adjustment at this point. The adjustment's at this 45-degree angle with the bed, like this. So what that does is it brings the panel in and out. So we're gonna leave these three loose. We're gonna set this bracket exactly where we want it, and then we'll tighten things down. So the goal here is that you have some adjustability on where you want this panel to sit with respect to the rail here. Before I make any adjustments here though, I'm gonna bolt the two panels together so that we're just dealing with one large panel. Cinch that up. Nice and snug. Same thing up top. All right, so as you can see, this bed is set up. We installed the panels on both sides. Everything looks great, fits great. We only made some small revisions since the last round of prototypes, so not surprised about any of that. It looks great. I love seeing it on the white truck. We did, as you can see, outfit it with some gear, BuiltRight small pouch, long arm clamp holding an extension cord. We've got a hitch holder there. That happens to be a 2.5-inch hitch holder with no hitch in it. We got one of our new large pack-out plates up front with a pack-out toolbox. Over here on the passenger side, we put a full-length shovel there with a couple of riser mounts and the classic 5-gallon bucket bungee cord to the side of the panel. So this is kind of an odd collection of things, but it's actually like pretty typical of how a lot of people are using our panels. So if you're not using our panels for like a very specific off-road use or something, a lot of times it is just a combination of tools and bungees and tie-down straps and things like that. So that is kind of how we envisioned this. Again, this is for product photos and video. Also just verifying for ourselves what fits, what doesn't fit. When you guys call customer service, we want those guys to know typically what does or doesn't fit on a specific panel in a specific bed. So this is kind of a reference point for that. So all that to say, by the time you're watching this video, these are live on our site. Use the link in the description to go to BuiltRightInd.com, learn more, learn about how you might be able to outfit your truck. If you have any comments, questions, feedback, as always, leave them in the comments. Give us a call, shoot us an email. Catch you next time.